Late last night, while most households were quiet and bank apps sat unopened, the Social Security Administration finalized another round of payment processing that will matter to a large number of beneficiaries when they wake up tomorrow. This isn't the typical monthly cycle most retirees mark on their calendars. Instead, this is a special release tied to how the SSA groups and resolves payments behind the scenes, and understanding that difference can spare a lot of unnecessary anxiety when checking your account. Every month, millions of payments move through a tightly controlled federal system, and not all of them follow the same public-facing schedule. In this case, the SSA completed an overnight processing run that sends funds into the Treasury's payment pipeline for delivery to banks starting tomorrow. That timing alone causes confusion, because many people assume that if money is sent on a certain date, it should appear instantly. In reality, the date the government releases a payment and the moment it becomes available in your bank account are not the same thing. What makes this specific processing run stand out is the mix of payments it includes. Alongside standard benefit deposits for certain groups, there are also corrected payments, recalculations, and delayed adjustments that have been pending for weeks or even months. These aren't random or experimental payments. They are the result of accounts being reviewed, updated, and cleared through verification checks that happen continuously but are released in waves. The reason these releases often occur overnight has everything to do with how the federal banking infrastructure operates. The Treasury Department coordinates with the Federal Reserve to route funds securely to financial institutions nationwide. That system functions most efficiently when transaction volume is lowest, which is typically late at night and in the very early morning hours. By processing payments during this window, the government reduces congestion, lowers error rates, and ensures that deposits reach banks before the next business day begins. Once those payments leave the Treasury system, control shifts to individual banks and credit unions. This is where timing starts to vary widely. Some large national banks post federal deposits before dawn, sometimes as early as 2 or 3 in the morning. Others wait until later in the morning, while smaller institutions may not post deposits until the official start of business hours. Credit unions often fall somewhere in between and in some cases make funds available earlier than traditional banks. None of these differences signal a problem with your payment. They are simply the result of internal policies that differ from one institution to another. Another common source of stress is the way deposits appear on bank statements. Some institutions show a pending transaction hours before funds become usable. Others show nothing at all until the deposit is fully cleared and available. Seeing a pending entry doesn't mean the money is delayed or at risk. It simply means your bank has been notified and is completing its own verification process. Conversely, not seeing anything yet doesn't mean your payment hasn't been sent. Many beneficiaries assume that if tomorrow isn't their usual Social Security payment date, then nothing applies to them. That assumption is often wrong. While standard benefits do follow a predictable schedule based on when you first started receiving benefits, and in many cases your birth date, these supplemental processing waves do not follow that calendar. They exist specifically to handle situations that fall outside the routine cycle, such as corrected benefit amounts, first-time payments, retroactive adjustments, and administrative fixes. For some people, tomorrow's deposit may look almost identical to their usual payment. For others, the amount may be noticeably higher or lower. There are several legitimate reasons this happens. One of the most common involves cost of living adjustments. While COLA increases are applied annually, the timing of how they appear in individual accounts can vary. If your increase was delayed due to processing issues, tomorrow's deposit may include back pay to make up the difference. Changes to Medicare premiums are another frequent factor. For most beneficiaries, Medicare Part B premiums are automatically deducted from Social Security payments. When those premiums change, the net amount you receive changes too. Sometimes those adjustments don't align perfectly with benefit updates, resulting in temporary discrepancies that are later corrected through retroactive payments. Tax withholding can also affect what lands in your account. Some beneficiaries choose to have federal taxes withheld from their Social Security benefits. If that election was recently changed, corrected, or applied retroactively, your deposit may not match what you're used to seeing. The same applies to garnishments or offsets tied to legal obligations or federal debts. When those amounts change, the adjustment happens before the payment reaches you. One of the most frustrating experiences for beneficiaries is seeing an unexpected deposit amount without an explanation. Although the SSA is required to notify you of benefit changes, those notices are often sent by mail and may arrive days after the adjusted payment appears. The electronic payment system moves much faster than the postal service. If you notice a change tomorrow, it's often best to wait several days before assuming something is wrong. In many cases, an explanation letter is already on its way. If you do need to contact the SSA, timing matters more than most people realize. Calling first thing in the morning or on a Monday almost guarantees a long wait. Midweek, late morning hours tend to be the least congested. If your concern isn't urgent, waiting a few days after a payment release can also help, as call volumes spike immediately following deposit dates. Online access has become one of the most effective ways to track benefits, even for those who are hesitant about digital services. Viewing payment history, notices, and account updates electronically often provides clarity long before a phone call would. Security concerns are understandable, but modern authentication measures make these systems far safer than many people assume. Payment days are also prime time for scams, and criminals rely on confusion and urgency to succeed. Any call, message, or email claiming your benefits are at risk unless you act immediately should be treated with suspicion. The SSA does not threaten beneficiaries, demand payments, or request sensitive information through unsolicited communications. If something feels off, it usually is. This processing wave also includes first-time payments for newly approved beneficiaries. These initial deposits are often larger than expected because they may include retroactive benefits covering months of eligibility. While these lump sums can be a significant relief, they also carry tax implications that shouldn't be ignored. Receiving multiple months or years of benefits in one payment can affect taxable income calculations, and planning ahead can prevent surprises later. Behind all of this is a system that operates under significant constraints. Much of the SSA's infrastructure is decades old, yet it continues to process enormous volumes of payments with remarkable accuracy. That doesn't mean errors never occur, but it does explain why fixes sometimes take longer than beneficiaries would like. When problems arise, patience is often required, even though that's easier said than done. Before tomorrow arrives, it's worth confirming that your banking information is up to date. Changes to accounts must be reported directly to the SSA. Banks cannot update that information on your behalf. If a payment is sent to a closed account, it will be returned, delaying reissuance for weeks. For many seniors, tomorrow will be uneventful, just another deposit appearing quietly in the background. For others, it may bring a long-awaited adjustment or a surprising change that raises questions. Knowing how these payment waves work, why timing varies, and what steps to take if something looks different can turn a stressful morning into a manageable one. Stay alert, stay patient, and above all, protect your personal information as carefully as you protect the benefits you've earned.